Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel and to another video, the second video in the Rookie Entrepreneur series. Sorry that I look like a burst couch. I've been at the gym, kind of struggling to find time to fit in videos, as well as trying to feel like I'm doing everything I should be doing to create income, which is obviously a pretty high priority. So I said in the update video that I'm back in the closest thing I've got to hometown, so I'm not going to say too much about that, but yeah, located in Forfar now. So when I moved here, I'd been asked to manage a nightclub, which was kind of part-time, and it was so probably going to be like about 20 hours per week, and probably about half of what I would want to be making overall, or the minimum I'd want to be making overall. So I was happy with that. I was quite enthusiastic about it. Obviously it's a big challenge to try and increase the revenue of a nightclub in 2024 with the way things are. There's more nightclubs closing than churches, and that's saying something. But yeah, I'm always up for a challenge, and so yeah, I was quite enthused about it. And I was disappointed when it didn't pan out, and the timing wasn't great because it was a week before I was due to move into the flat, and I'd taken the flat on the basis of having the job. But basically, there's no hard feelings about it because, you know, everyone's got to do what seems right for them, and you know, yeah, the timing was unfortunate, but you know, I think I just want to say as little as possible. I have to say something because it's part of my story, but yeah, I don't think everyone was kind of on the same page about yeah, the viability of hiring a manager kind of thing. So that was it. And so basically I did what I would have been doing. So it was managing it as well as playing in both the venues, and helping with marketing for all the venues, and doing AV engineering, any AV engineering, and yeah, just like creating reels and all that kind of stuff. So so basically I'm still I'm still playing in the venues. So yeah, I just kind of did what I would have done if I hadn't been asked to manage a club, which is I would have been hitting up all the venues all over the place to get work there, to get work in different places. So I was planning for some of my income to come from DJing again. I started playing in 2006, and previously I've gone down the entertainment company route. So a company that I had with a friend, we had as many as 20 venues that we supplied all their entertainment. I've talked about that in the first video a little bit. So we supplied all the equipment, the DJs, help with marketing, that kind of thing. Yeah, and then when we decided to go back to having our own companies again, I did that, and then I had the tooth whitening company and other things as well that I talked about in the first video. So I'm not really planning on going down the entertainment company route again. I kind of decided for myself that if I was going to do something like that again, I wouldn't be playing as well, because if you're working for your company and running your company, there's a lot of people who do that will attest, it's a lot more difficult. You know, if you're trying to take phone calls from people who can't get things working at gigs when you're also at a gig trying to play, it's kind of stressful. Also I think if you're not committed to playing yourself and somebody lets you down, then you could do it yourself kind of thing. Whereas you know, I never let anyone down, but I had plenty of stress over people letting me down and having to try and sort somebody out at short notice that a venue would be happy with. So anyway, right now I'm quite happy just working as a solo act, and so I've just been promoting myself as that. So what did I do to get gigs? I'm probably going to do a video or two about advice for DJs, because lots of people have come up to me recently at gigs and asked, how come you're everywhere, or how do I go about getting into venues and things like that. So absolutely happy to share how I've done that. And I mean, in a nutshell, what I kind of said was, well, it's easier when you've got a lot of experience, because you can say, look, I started doing it 20 years ago and I've played in over 50 venues and I've done thousands of nights. So obviously if you've got a kind of track record, then that certainly makes it easier, but it doesn't mean that everyone's going to open the door to let you in. So the real way that I did it was by being super proactive. I mean, I probably went round 100 venues in a week or more, maybe even more venues than that. So I wouldn't recommend just Facebooking companies that you want to work with. The chances of getting the decision maker, if you just randomly stop by, are not very high. Sometimes you will get the decision maker. That's always who you're looking to speak to when you're selling anything, whether it's yourself or a product. I learned that when I was a car salesman when I was 18. So basically, you might not get the decision maker, but you'll find out who the decision maker is, and you might even get contact details for them. You have to be persistent. There's a balance between, you don't want to annoy people, but at the same time, if you just want to drop off business cards and say that you've done marketing, then you'd be better becoming a croupier, if you just want to deal out cards, because it takes a lot more effort than that usually. Sometimes if somebody's been looking for something, and they've been, oh, I really want to start this kind of night, but we can't find somebody to do it, and you hand in a card, you might get somewhere really quickly. I've been really lucky because I think I've got 13 venues that I'm playing with now. So I had 2 before I moved here on the 1st of May that I was already committed to doing gigs with, and thankfully that meant that I still had some income for me, but it was half of what I expected. So so that's good extra motivation to get out there and find more work. And there obviously wasn't much I could do for getting more work in May, because we were already in May, and people generally have things booked further in advance. So, but what I could do was focus on trying to build up work for the other months. So that's basically what I've been doing, and it would have been good in a way if I'd done a video earlier, because you would have seen me absolutely doubting myself and basically like really hanging on things that people were saying to me, like one of my friends saying, oh, I'm sure it will not be long before you've built up companies and things like that. So but yeah, you would have seen me really doubting myself and thinking, well, what's the worst case scenario here? The worst case scenario is that I end up getting a full-time job that's probably half or not much more than what I would usually expect to earn, because there's not that many jobs around here that would pay a really what I would consider to be a good salary. So but that was the worst case scenario, and hey, if I had ended up having to go down that route, then whatever the job was, I would have given it my absolute all. The downside of that would have been that it's tying up 40 hours a week for getting enough to cover the bills and maybe a bit more, and that makes it more difficult to work on creating your own business, because you've got less time. I mean, at that point I was still training in the gym a couple hours a day. At one point in the last year I was training about 3.5 hours on days that I was going to the gym, which was a lot of days. So by the time you spent a couple hours in the gym, went to work, did all the other things you need to do in a day, there wouldn't be an awful lot of time left for creating business. So so I'm fortunate that I've managed to build stuff up really quickly. Obviously I'm not going to talk in terms of cash, but I don't mind talking in some terms, so that you can see how I'm doing in relation to the targets that I'm setting myself. And this is really about encouraging other people to give things a go. Again, I'm not a business tycoon. I don't think I've come anywhere near to filling my potential. I don't think I've come anywhere near to filling my potential yet, at least I hope I haven't. I haven't been a full-time entrepreneur for since about 2013 or something, and even then it was only about 2 or 3 years that I was doing that and not doing anything else. So so yeah, I've got the experience that I have from what I've done before, and I now have all my time to focus on that. That said, I'm still interested in doing things to help people where I can. One of the ways is by making YouTube videos like this and the series on depression, and another way is things like I've done a couple of charity gigs, and occasionally get asked to speak at things, so always happy to spend some of my time doing that kind of thing. But I think if you're truly an entrepreneur, then being an entrepreneur is about helping people in some way. As I've probably said before, money is a byproduct. I think people that are really successful entrepreneurs, they're not chasing money. It's they see something that they think could be better, or something broken that they want to fix, and they go about making that happen. And if you do a good job of that, then the byproduct is that you can make quite a lot of money. Not always, sometimes, you know, things don't end up being worth your time. My tooth whitening company, for example, you know, I never really made as much as I would have thought would be a good return for the time that I put into it. So, but you have to just take the experience that you can from things, and sometimes those will be things that work, and sometimes those will be things that won't. So so basically, like, one important thing is that I always give myself targets, and my targets are audacious. I don't think if you set yourself small targets, and I don't think that if you're getting close to the end of the month and you're not going to touch your target, you should reduce it. I think you should just set targets, not like such a stupid target that it's going to have the opposite effect, you know, because if you think it's completely unattainable, then, you know, it might have the opposite effect in terms of making you feel like, how do I do this? I can't do this, blah, 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 blah. But I do think it should be like a really high target, that's a really high target that I've got to try and hit, because it does motivate you to do things like I've been saying, like go out and hit up venues, spend less time wasting time, because you have targets that you've got to hit. And it also means that, I mean, a lot of people just create enough income for whatever, you know, for the amount of money that they need to live fairly comfortably or whatever, and then they stop there. And that's fair enough if you want to do that, but I was probably scared of making too much money when I was younger, because, you know, all these ideas about money being the root of evil, or at the root of evil, is actually what it says. But I think money's neutral, to be honest. I don't think money's either good or bad. I think money is a tool, and I think that it can be used for good or bad. So personally, my ideal career would be being a philanthropist. So that's somebody who has that much money that they can afford to live comfortably, or very comfortably, but also spend their time giving money away and setting up things for poor people, and you know, social justice, that kind of thing. I think that would actually be my ideal career. Will I ever make enough money to do that? I have no idea, but I don't mind having a go. I think that yeah, money's a tool, so I'm not afraid to make as much of it as I can, so long as I'm doing it ethically, which is important to me. People can, you know, there's lots of different sorts of rich people, and just because somebody's rich doesn't mean that, you know, they've accumulated it in a good way that is kind to other people, and you know, improves their life, kind of thing. I like the idea of, obviously you need to pay people for the work that they do, but I like the idea of, you know, giving people an incentive that if the business does better, then they'll do better. I think that's, you know, a fair way of doing things. And obviously the owner of a business has to make the most money, because they have taken the risk to create the company, they've made the investment to create the company, they've got the responsibility for it all, so they absolutely deserve to get you know, a nice decent salary from it, or dividends, or whatever. But I do think that there's a lot to be said for giving people the opportunity to do better for themselves if the company's doing better and if they're helping the company to do better. So that's definitely something that I believe in and something that I will apply to whatever I do. So in terms of targets and income and things like that, I'm going to talk in terms of potatoes, and everything I'm doing right now is small potatoes. So but you have to start somewhere, and you know, I'm not making loads of money, but you know, if you have your own company, you also have some, you know, a lot more freedom with your time than you would have if you're working for someone else. So that's something that's always good to remember, the value in that as well. And I think if people have had their own company for some time, they forget that. You know, it's more difficult to be an employee in some ways and be told that you have to be here then, that, you know, this, the other, that many hours, have to work from then till then, etc. So so there is some freedom. I remember seeing a meme though about somebody saying it's great being self-employed because I can choose which 8 hours a week I work, but that's a choice, you know, that's a choice, unless you've committed yourself to the point where you have to do that, which I've done in the past, only it was probably more like 100 hours a week. So yeah, in terms of targets, so my target goes up by, let's see, it goes up by 300 potatoes per month. So it doesn't matter whether I've hit the target for the previous month, it still increases every month. So I'm always putting some pressure on myself to keep improving and figuring out ways of getting higher. So the second month, so last month, I did about maybe 600 potatoes, bit more than that, a bit more than 600 potatoes. And my target was 900 potatoes. So I was away from where I wanted to be last month. This month, my target is 1,200 potatoes, and at the minute it's probably, I'll need to update my prediction, but it's probably about, predictions about 750 just now. The expected income for July was a lot higher, but I'd kind of thought I had a commitment with the venue to do a weekly gig, and that, you know, they would kind of give it a fair time to become established, because it takes time to build up busy nights, especially in this climate. But it turned out I shouldn't have made that assumption. I always like to think well of places and people, but you should always still make sure that you're on the same page, because I wouldn't try and launch a weekly night if I thought that it was going to get one night, and that, you know, it wasn't going to get a fair period of time to build up, because some things start really quickly and hit the ground running really well, but in a lot of cases it can take, you know, weeks, if not a few months to build a busy night. But the good thing is, once you have created a busy night, it's like creating a new culture, and it's very easy to keep them going. You know, I've had busy nights that we've had lots of busy nights if we consider all the different venues that we had in different, you know, nights with different guys doing them and our own nights. We've had lots of busy nights that have lasted for many years, and lots of times where we've started a night, made it busy or helped to make it busy, and then we've ended up supplying 4 nights in the venue because they saw the effort that went into it. So really fortunate that that I've been able to pick up so much in the way of gigs and venues. When you're starting out in whatever you're doing, you need to be super proactive. It doesn't matter whether you have you know, whether you've done something or started doing something 20 years ago and have done it thousands of times and whatever, the chances of people knowing you or seeking you out initially is pretty slim. So you have to put yourself out there, and that's exactly what I did. And you have to be persistent and get the balance between, you don't want to annoy people, but sometimes it does take, you know, visiting or talking to somebody a few times before you actually get the commitment. So nowadays, because what I've been doing is sending out my remaining availability, and because the remaining availability is so low, people are just booking things really quickly now because they can see I'm out here doing this and that, and there's videos of gigs, and you know, so it does make it easier. You know, obviously the busier you are, the more places you're playing, the more people have heard your name, the more in demand you are, kind of thing. So it gets easier, but it takes a lot of work, and whatever you're doing, it takes a lot of work to get it off the ground. You know, to find venues, to find nights. And I never ever approach a venue, like say for example a venue's got a DJ on a Friday and Saturday night, I'd never approach a venue and try and take the Friday and Saturday night. Never ever, never have, never would. I've been approached by venues before who say, look, our DJ that we've got on Friday, Saturday night, is not doing a good job, or he's getting wasted, he's not taking it seriously, or whatever. Can you start doing it? Then yes, because if I don't do a good job, then somebody will take my night. So, so when I go to approach venues, I'm looking to see if we can start something new that they've not done before, or you know, is there a night that you've not got something on that you'd like to try doing something? In this area, basically, just about all the pubs use bands, so there's not really much chance, maybe next year, but this year there wasn't really much chance of getting, normally I'd just be in one place on a Friday night, or you know, I'd be in two places, but it'd be the same ones every week, and then Saturday I'm there and it's the same ones every week. Here, because they all use bands and things like that, it's a case of I'm all over the place on a Friday and Saturday, and there's upsides and downsides to that, but I'm fine with that. It's fine just now. Yeah, I think that's probably just going to be the situation in this area. So yeah, that's fine. So I think I only have one Saturday left that's not booked for the year, and some Fridays. So that's been really good, because that's since the 1st of May, and we're now in just on the 9th of July, and most of that was booked, you know, maybe a week or two ago. So that's really good. So I've been focusing really hard on doing that, and I was trying to focus on getting nighttime stuff booked first. I have been booking in day things, because Saturday day things is another big thing now, doing events on a Saturday during the day. And basically, now that I'm almost full for nights, I'll be focusing more on talking to venues who might be interested in doing day events on a Saturday. So I did one club event in June, I think it was, which went really well, was really busy. I did another one in the same place last weekend. It wasn't as busy. Unfortunately, the weekend wasn't busy in general, it wasn't busy at night. And if you do, again, I'll do more of a video specifically for people looking to get into DJing, but no matter who you are, if you're a DJ, you will get quiet events, and it's hard going. You know, it sucks when you've put lots of effort into things. I'll do some videos on marketing. I'm not going to try and say everything in one video, but believe me, there was an awful lot of time, money and effort that went into marketing, and if you don't get a great return on that, then you know, it is a bit disheartening. But it doesn't matter who you are, even super famous DJs. I was at a gig on Boxing Night, and a really famous DJ was playing at it, and it was even quieter than the Saturday I just did. So you know, if super famous DJs with tens of thousands of followers have quiet nights, then if you're going to get into DJing, then you have to expect that to happen as well. And what I do is just do my absolute best, you know, so I can feel as though I've done everything I can with the money that I had available, with the time that I had available, to try and make this event busy. And if it's not busy, then you just got to take the rough and the smooth, the rough with the smooth. So if you're going to be really happy when you get something that's super busy, then you have to accept that sometimes you're going to have, you know, things that aren't as busy. But as long as most things are busy, then you're fine. It's pretty rare, you know, to get an event that isn't busy. So, but it happens to everyone. So that's just the way the cookie crumbles. So, so apart from the DJing stuff, so that's obviously what I've been mainly focusing on. I have taken on a unit. I said this in my update video. It's just a really small unit, and I've called the part of the company. I've got one company and I do different things with it just now. I've called it Forfar Autos. We're in Forfar, so makes sense. And autos isn't too specific as to what I do. If you want to know more about that, then have a look on my website, and there's a page about it, or a couple of pages about it. I've done some reels and things like that. I've done some sponsored ads, just to build up the viewership of the page. It will take time to build up. I've taken it on a little bit earlier than I was really planning to, because it's hard to get units, so you just kind of got to jump on one when one comes up that you think is going to be good. So I'm still spending more time than I would like to be. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm happy to spend the time because it's important, but I would have ideally had everything booked completely before I started PRing the car stuff as well. So I'm kind of doing both at the same time, which is fine. I'm used to doing multiple things at once. But yeah, as long as I can bring in enough business through for the car stuff to at least cover the costs this month, then I'll be happy with that, because it's not going to be long at all before I'm fully booked for the year. And then I've already done all the artwork for all the nights. I just do everything straight away. Already ordered posters and things. So, you know, most of the work is done. Obviously, I'm still going to promote the events on Facebook and things like that, still do sponsored links, but most of the work is done. It's a case of doing the weekly promotions for things and, you know, getting prepared and turning up and doing the gigs. So that doesn't take as much time as going around having lots of meetings with venues, approaching venues, doing all the artwork and things like that. So, so yeah, we're hitting nearly half an hour, so I'll probably sort of think about drawing this to a close. But that's where I am right now. So making you know, just about making a living, and really glad that I've been able to create enough myself without having to get a job. If I thought there was a job around here that paid what I thought was, you know, a good salary, I definitely would have been tempted to, you know, to take it if there was one that I could have got. But I don't think there's that much about here, and if you're traveling to work, there's costs involved in that, time, you know, dogs, things like that. So I've spent a lot of time doing a lot of traveling for work, so I'm actually quite liking that most of the work I'm doing is really local. So yeah, I think that's probably about enough for just now. Yeah, so just kind of doing okay, and investing as much money I can in marketing. I mean, basically right now, you know, I pay my bills, I buy food, fuel, and I don't really spend much money on anything else. You know, I'm apart from the necessities, you know, I mean, the money goes to marketing gigs and things, because if you want to build something quickly, then you need to reinvest as much money as you can in building it, rather than, you know, trying to take money out kind of thing. So so yeah, I'd always kind of, you know, I'd always be looking to reinvest in what you're doing, if you want to try and build it quickly, rather than, you know, starting to take more out of a business or out of a venture earlier on. The more that you can put towards building, obviously the faster you'll build. So so that's kind of been the plan. So yeah, so there we are just now, and I guess next time for our next episode I'll be able to actually talk more about an element of business, maybe for example marketing or something like that. But you know, for those who watched the first video and you know, heard about the things that I'd done, just, you know, the small companies I'd had in the past, that's kind of bringing us up to date on where I am now and what I've done since I've been here. But yeah, believe me when I say, like, I was totally doubting myself. I was totally, you know, like waking up in the morning thinking, you know, how am I making enough money to pay the bills this month? And for me, at least, it doesn't matter how many times you've managed to do something, I still doubt myself and question myself. You've still got anxieties about things, and so yeah, you know, just little comments from people who know you saying, you know, just showing that, you know, they've got some belief in your ability, that's kind of really helpful. And so thanks for anyone that said something that was helpful to me. I remember being in a kind of bad situation before with a business. I lost a contract that I wasn't expecting to lose for a really unfair reason, but that's life. And I remember a guy who I know from a venue saying, you know, you'll be fine, I'm not even worried about you. And just little things that people say, it's always really, really encouraging. So yeah, yeah, not kind of throwing money around at all, but so far so good, and things seem to be heading in a good direction. So just need to keep on putting in, you know, crazy amounts of effort, and you know, doing all the things I can think of that will you know, help to promote things that we're doing. And I mean, I'm going to lengths that I've never gone to promote things, but I'll talk about marketing in the next video. And I hope this is helpful to anyone who maybe has never had a business and is thinking about doing it. Every business just started as an idea in someone's head. So, you know, I think when you haven't had a company, it can seem like really daunting, and you know, it's like, oh, but could I do that? You know, could I manage to do this or whatever? And I always like to remember that every business you see, even the really big ones, started as an idea in someone's head. And if they can think of something and turn it into reality, then so can you. So just take advice and as much advice as you can, and always protect the downside, which is one of Richard Branson's favourite sayings, you know. Definitely have to take risks, but what's the downside and how can you protect that? So I'll leave it there. Thanks for watching, and I hope you're all well, and I will see you in the next video.